you want to tell us a bit about how you got into photography?
Well, how I got into photography is really a very funny story, but it's a totally true story. It's hard to believe, but coincidences in life are very, very strange. I was serving the Jewish Brigade in Europe when one day I was given leave with another colleague, a friend of mine, to go to Paris. And we got on leave and we had got 2 tickets for the opera. And as we went to the opera, we were a few minutes late. They wouldn't let us in till after the first intermission. And we went around the corner into a bar, and there were 2 girls, Claudette and Jeannette. Needless to say, we never went to the opera that same night. We never saw the ballet. We went instead, had dinner on the first floor of the Eiffel Tower, and a fantastic friendship developed with Claudette. And when a few months later I was given home leave to go back to what then was Palestine, she came to the railway station and gave me a little present, farewell present, which was a little camera. A tiny little 35mm camera, a very simple one, but I had never had a camera in all my life. And I was 23 by then, nearly 22. And I decided that's what I would like to do in life. Be a photographer. Voila. If I had been in time for the opera, who knows what I would be doing.
So did you go through training or any special...
No, none at all. None whatsoever.
Okay. And what's your favourite photo you've taken?
No. You got children?
No.
No? Well, ask anyone who has got children who's his favourite child. He'll never tell you. No, there's no such thing as a favourite photo. I have 500,000 images. Very hard to say which one is a favorite. You could ask in which theme, in which field, in which war photography, political photography, etc., which are what I think good pictures. But the one on the cover of the book is undoubtedly the most famous one. Not necessarily my best one. But, you know, pictures are made famous not by the photographer, but by the public. It's in the eye of the beholder. And the public sees in a photograph something that it wants to see. So every war or every major event in the life in the world, sooner or later finds an image that becomes an icon for that. I was lucky enough that the Six-Day War victory made this into an icon, and thereby became so famous.
So how did you manage to get that photo?
Oh, that same morning, the night before, I still wasn't in Jerusalem. I was down in Sinai with the troops that had gone through Gaza into Rafah and so. And then in the evening, I overheard a radio conversation between 2 generals, and they were talking about Jerusalem. And so I squeezed myself onto a helicopter that was evacuating wounded, flew back to Beersheba, where I had my car, drove up to Jerusalem, arrived just in time. About 10 minutes after the wall was taken, I was there, lying on the ground, shooting upwards to get a little bit of more of the wall, when these 3 soldiers passed by. They were of the battalion that had taken the wall, and they were still sort of not in shock, but still in awe of the moment, you know. And there I was. I shot that picture. I didn't even think it was a good picture, because about 15, 20 minutes later, I got a photograph which I thought was really great. The chief rabbi of the Israeli Defense Forces had arrived, and with a Torah scroll in his hand and the shofar in his mouth, and he was lifted up on the shoulders of the soldiers and blew the shofar and held aloft the Torah scroll with the western wall as a background. And I thought, wow, that's the greatest picture. And when I got home, I processed the film, and I looked at the contact sheet together with my wife. And for some reason, she pointed to that picture and said, that's a nice picture. And I said, Annie, look, I've got a picture of Chief Rabbi Goren with the shofar and all. These are just 3 soldiers standing there. There's nothing to it. Well, it turns out she was right.
I mean, are there any other photos you feel are more iconic that people should
No,
recognize?
no, iconic not. No. Icons aren't made immediately. Icons are created over time. Uh, the raising of the flag in Iwo Jima was not an immediate icon. It became an icon after a year or two, like that any other picture, which is a news picture at the moment, and somehow the public turns it into an icon. It's not the photographer who does that, nor do the editor. It's the public who turns it. In Israel, the people refer to this picture, the photo of the crying paratroopers at the wall. Well, they're not crying, but the public wants to see them crying, so they say the photo of the crying paratroopers. It isn't.
Does it make you feel quite old to have a biography written about you?
I'm sorry?
Does it make you feel quite old to see your life kind of written in a book?
Old is of course I know I'm old. But, you know, the last sentence in my bio is live as though there was an endless number of tomorrows. I know there isn't. But, I mean, people ask me now to make plans for 2009. I know it's crazy. But I say, what the hell? I'll make the plans. We'll see what happens. But I plan. I plan to be the whole month of May in the States on tours, on exhibitions, on interviews with the documentary which was shot about me. So I plan.
Obviously, with your age, you've lived through a lot of history about the state of Israel and kind of land and territory. I don't know if you want to get into politics at all, but how would you feel about kind of ongoing negotiations that go on about Jerusalem and stuff like that, and seeing as a kind of big picture you took about people outside those walls? How would you feel if it was then?
Well, I'm considered a leftist in Israel. I'm just now not very hopeful, because you see what happened is what used to be a pure territorial conflict has unfortunately been allowed to slide into a religious conflict, which is 1,000 times worse than a territorial conflict. But I have hope that sanity will win. Meanwhile, it's craziness on both sides, and it's crazy fringes on both sides who dictate the terms. The majority of Israelis and the majority of Palestinians would like to change things, would like to have two states with friendly relations, but with a border like two neighbors who don't barge into each other's flat, but say good morning to each other, or sometimes are invited to each other's home, but it's there. What I call a condominium, which I would like to see happen for Jerusalem, for example, which cannot be divided. But Jerusalem can be made into a condominium where everybody lives, lets live, and not one rules over the other. But as I said, my views are fairly leftist, and it's not my kind who dictates things. It's the kind who A, throws bombs on Palestinians or sends rockets into Israel after Israel left Gaza. And on the other hand, it's crazy settlers who uproot vineyards and olive trees that have been there for hundreds of years, which is contrary to everything the Bible commands us to do, of course. I mean, but they claim they're religious. I think without a skull cap, I'm 10 times more religious than they are. But they dictate. The extremists on both sides dictate the terms. You could say that it's a sad saying, but I feel that apart from Ben-Gurion, the one man who had the greatest influence on the fate of Israel was one crazy guy named Yigal Amir, who killed Rabin, because we were on the right track with Rabin. He killed him, and his co-workers on the other side, the Arab extremists, at the same time blew up 3 buses in Jerusalem. So there you are. That took care of the peace process. And they're both happy. The Israeli right wing is happy, doesn't want to give up anything. The Palestinian extremists are happy because they don't want Israel to exist. Fine, great. Both sides, they're really partners in the game. Hamas and the extremist Israelis are true partners in game.